1969, the Apollo 11 lunar module landed on the moon. We all know this happened, but few people are aware of all the dramas that occurred in those last 10 minutes before landing. This speech is about those 10 minutes. After 4 days and 240,000 miles, Michael Collins, in the command module orbiting the moon, released the lunar module Eagle, containing Neil Armstrong, of course, and Buzz Aldrin. At this point, they were 50,000 feet above the surface of the moon, and they had 10 minutes to go until touchdown. Everything was ready. Everything had gone according to plan. Everything had been perfect. The problem started. Armstrong noticed that the landmarks by which he was navigating were coming up about 2 seconds ahead of expectation. It may not sound very much, but of course at those speeds he knew this meant they were going to overshoot their landing zone. Aldrin, comparing data from the radar with data from the computer, found a discrepancy of several thousand feet. He knew the radar back in 1969 to be the more reliable instrument, so he input that data into the computer. The master alarm went off. Can you imagine it? 10 minutes to go and the master alarm's going off. Nobody knew what was wrong. Mission Control didn't know, and it took them quite some time to work out. The problem was the computer was overloaded. It couldn't cope with all the tasks it was being asked to do. The computer on the lunar module in 1969 had less capacity than a computer in a modern-day car. By the time they'd managed to pacify the computer, they were now 1,000 feet above the surface of the moon, and they were racing past the inviting, beautiful plane on which their hopes had been planned for the perfect landing. They were going to be 4 miles off target. Armstrong looked ahead through the window and was not thrilled by what he saw. A massive field of boulders surrounding the dark lip of a huge crater into which the computer was going to blindly fly them. He took control of the lunar module. No mean feat in itself, it was widely regarded to have the aerodynamics of a 4-poster bed. Aldrin, who was concentrating on the instruments in front of him, was calling out the data to Mission Control and heard also by the rest of the world. Aldrin, 350 feet, 330 feet. All Mission Control knew was that the plan was now ditched and Armstrong was flying manually. Armstrong suddenly had to bank left to avoid huge rocks that rose up from the surface of the moon towards them. Telemetry at that point showed that his heart rate surged to 150 beats a minute. In a naturally calm voice, he said to Aldrin, "How's the fuel?" 8% came the reply. Aldrin, 250 feet. At this point, they had 90 seconds worth of fuel left, 90 seconds of flying time. Armstrong looked ahead and saw a clearing. It was surrounded by boulders and craters, but nevertheless, it was big enough. That was going to be the spot. Aldrin, 100 feet. Armstrong knew that he had to land the lunar module perfectly vertically. Any horizontal drift and he would risk snapping off the matchstick legs of the lunar module. Aldrin, 60 feet. Dust erupted up from the surface of the moon surrounding the lunar module. Armstrong was flying blind. Years of preparation, billions and billions of dollars, the lives of astronauts along the way. All that energy, ingenuity and life was now compacted into the next few seconds and the judgment of one man. Mission control was gripped in agonised silence. Aldrin, 30 feet. Armstrong realised that the lunar module was starting to drift backwards and he didn't know why. He wrestled with the controls and finally managed to correct the backward drift. Aldrin, 20 feet, contact light. Contact light refers to whiskery probes that were hanging down from the feet of the lunar module. They had made contact with the surface of the moon. The lunar module, called the Eagle, settled down those last 20 feet so gently onto the surface of the moon that neither astronaut even felt the impact. There was a pause, silence, more silence, and then Armstrong spoke. Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. They had 10 seconds worth of fuel left.
Wow.